Her very Mary Poppins. She followed that with The Sound of Music and a string of major films. Her enduring appeal has ensured new generations of fans through hits like Shrek and The Princess Diaries, but it hasn't always been a spoonful of sugar. Throat surgery in 1997 meant she thought she may never sing again. And when I met her recently, we talked about her return to the London stage in concert later this year. And I asked if she was nervous about the inevitable scrutiny of her voice.
No, I am nervous about scrutiny because I think everybody will be I don't want people to be anxious for me or worried about me. But I'm also nervous at coming home because it matters so much coming back. It's so lovely to be coming back. But I think once the evening begins, it will be so joyous. I have such a great time, and I hope the audience will too.
What will the audience prepare them for what they'll see?
Well, hopefully they'll see and enjoy an evening of fabulous music. All the glorious music of Rodgers and Hammerstein and the wonderful giants of Broadway who wrote, South Pacific and Sound of Music and Carousel and Oklahoma and The King and I. And my association with them, because our paths crossed once in a while in my youth. And I host the entire evening. I hope people won't expect that I'll be singing the way I used to sing, because obviously since my throat surgery I'm not doing that.
Because the extraordinary thing is that, until really, a year or two ago, you didn't really think you'd be singing in public again like this, did you?
That's true. That is true. I wouldn't call it singing, Sophie, but I wouldn't say that I don't sing. There is a slight sort of way that I weave my way through it with song, but it's not the way it used to be.
Did you think that you wouldn't sing again?
I know that I can't sing again, really, in the way that I would love to sing. I never imagined that I would be on stage with the symphony orchestra again, which is one of the greatest thrills when singing, to be accompanied by something as grand as that.
How much did you miss it over the years?
Enormously. Good heavens, I can't begin to tell you how much. It's been 14 years now since the throat surgery, and so I've had time to get used to the idea. And also, strangely enough, I think I'm busier than I ever was.
You got an Oscar for Mary Poppins. Was that controversial at the time, getting an Oscar for a musical film?
I don't know. It was a thrill for Disney, I think.
And what was it like meeting Mr. Disney?
But he came back and said, would you like to come out to Hollywood to see the designs and hear the songs for a movie that I'm going to be doing based on the stories of P.L. Travers' Mary Poppins? And I said to him, Mr. Disney, that's so lovely of you, but I have to tell you, I'm pregnant. And he said, well, that's all right, we'll wait.
We'll wait.
And he did.
It's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. If you say it loud enough, you'll always sound precocious. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
It was a surprise. I didn't expect to win the Oscar by any means. I thought that a lovely lady called Anne Bancroft was going to win it that year. She'd done a fabulous movie, and she probably should have gotten it, but I'm very grateful they offered it. I think it was a sort of welcome to the United States Oscar.
You can say it backwards, which is docious expiistic fragicalirupus, but that's going a bit too far, don't you think?
Your great roles, Mary Poppins, followed by The Sound of Music. When you made those films, did you ever think they would have such long...
Of course not. I was doing my learning, I was really learning on my feet as fast as I possibly could. Never made a movie before Mary Poppins.
Was Sound of Music a wonderful film to make? Did you enjoy making it?
It was. It was a lot of sitting out in the rain out in Austria, because I think a lot of people fail to mention that I think Austria has the world's or the Europe's 7th highest annual rainfall. So we were sitting under tarpaulins endlessly, waiting for the sky to, clear. But it was a lovely film to make. The music alone.
With songs they have sung for 1,000 years. The hills fill my heart with the sound of music. My heart wants to sing every song
it's great family entertainment, and I was lucky enough to be the one to be asked to be in that lovely movie. And it was beautifully crafted.
Christopher Plummer, I mean, I interviewed him a few years ago, actually, and he was quite reluctant to talk about The Sound of Music.
Homeland forever.
He says today that in his arrogance, he rather foolishly put it all down. And he said today he is absolutely thrilled and proud to have been a part of it. And I know he means that, I really do.
Small and white, clean and bright, you look happy to meet me.
Some of the films with Paul Newman and Rock Hudson, I mean, they weren't the biggest successes, were they?
No, well, you
following
can't
on-
bat 1,000 every time.
Yeah, exactly. But following on from such enormous success and an Oscar for Mary Poppins, how did you deal with that?
You really can't go on expecting that you're going to go on doing that forever. You never set out to make a flop or a bad film, and the pleasure of making the movie is half the thrill of it. I think that times changed. We went through a period of small budget movies. Things like Easy Rider, for instance, were just beginning to take over, and people were very angry that these huge, big budget films were costing so much.
And you've had something of a revival, really, haven't you, recently, with all these sort of new... You're now appealing to a whole new generation of children with Shrek and with Princess Diaries.
Yeah, I
and-
think probably the reason is because they are such family movies, and so they're more inclined to stick around families and be brought back to families in later years than, let's say, a very dramatic film of some kind.
What did it mean to you when you were made a dame?
It meant an enormous amount. It meant something that's almost indefinable, just a very private, quiet thrill that my country and my queen had honored me in such a way. To come back and to be recognized, it was something so special, really special.
Because you're still a British citizen, aren't
Yes,
you?
I am, yeah.
I could have sold tickets for this interview today. I tell you, the number of people, when I said I was coming to interview
Oh, how
Dame
sweet.
Julie Andrews, could they come? Could they come and do this? Could they come and do that? You know, you have this wonderful tag as the living legend.
Oh, dear.
Is that weigh heavily on your shoulders, or is it something you just sort of... That's
It's
separate?
terribly nice of people, but I don't think of myself as that. And
What do you think of yourself as?
just mum, 5 kids and 7 grandkids. I'm Granny Jules. And life is very